Okay, so we've knit up to row 38, so 39, and on the last row we're going to rack again with the large handle one place to the right, and we're then going to increase the stitch size to either 5, or if you're using a double knit yarn it's a bit thicker, you can use 5.5. This next row will be a little bit tougher, so you can hold on to the right hand side of the machine, but once you start, keep going. That's the end of the rib. What we need to do now is transfer the stitches from the front bed to the back bed. You can use your double-eyed bodkin tool to do this by transferring single stitches, or if you have one, you can use the Singer transfer carriage, which I'm going to use. But before I can use that, I need to move the bed into a special setting which moves the needles even closer together. I then need to bring up the needles to hold the stitches I'm transferring. And hopefully move that carriage from right to left and it transfers the stitches for me. Occasionally it will always, for some reason on Singer machines, drop that last stitch, but it's easy enough to pick up and pop on the needle. Take all the front bed stitches out of work, we don't need them. And we're now going to knit 2 rows, plain stocking stitch, so set the front carriage to 0, it's not going to do anything, and you can select tension 6 on the back bed, so knit 2 rows. After the first row, a little gentle tug, that's 2 rows. We're now ready to start turning those stitches in. First thing we do is we unravel 15 stitches on the right, only on the right. And then move the yarn, just hold it out of the way around the back of the row counter or somewhere. The instruction book will tell you to keep the river comb in, the cast on comb. I find it's more trouble than it's worth. So take your weights off. You can take your edge weights off and then take the comb out. And one thing you'll see, hopefully, the stitches do tend to bunch up without any weights on them. So what I can do is add some extra weights. I'm going to use an edge weight on each side, and I know that I can put the weight roughly in line with the 15 mark on the left and 15 on the right, but from the rear of the fabric. And if you've got another weight, you can add one to the middle as well to hold those stitches down. We then take our decker comb, take the guard off it. We then need to move 15 stitches on the right hand side first of all. Now just move them up slightly and check. You can move them a little bit further and check that all the latches are open. And drop the bed 1 notch, just makes life easier. And we're going to pick up those 15 stitches on the right hand side. No panic with this, take your time. Bring stitches behind the latches push your tool, wiggle, and then lift the stitches out of the needles and put the guard back on to hold the stitches so you don't lose any, and then you can let that drop between the two beds. Swivel that round and back up. Move the stitches away from the edge, remove the guard, and carefully catch hold of the needle hooks with those bars that are holding the stitches, and you can check you've got them all by moving it up slightly or down. You'll see that the needles will all move, or if you've missed one or if the latch is closed it won't grab hold of it. So again, take your time, they're not going to go anywhere. When you're sure you have them all, move the needles up. You can give your work from behind a little tug. If you're not happy doing that, you can move them down with your finger and tip. The stitches are then on the needles, and you can bring the needles down. And then to secure the work, I add another edge weight to the edge of those stitches. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So we bring 15 stitches up on the left hand side of the front bed, check the latches are open, grab hold of the 15 stitches on the back bed on the far left side, put the guard on, drop between the bed, rotate it, bring it up between the two beds, move the stitches back away from the guard and take the guard off, and then with the edge of it I always like to bring up the other stitches, the empty needles that you're going to put them onto, just slightly up from the needles on the other side. Hold your stitches in place and pop them into the needle hooks, and as before lift up, gently tug the knitting down, in whichever method you wish, pop them into the hooks. Finish with the decker comb. And I've got one of my weights stuck, so bear with me one moment. So we're going to add, as we did before, a weight to the far left hand side and bring those needles back down into work, and we can then raise the beds together. Nearly ready to start knitting. Add another weight to the centre of the back bed. It just helps to pull the stitches down. Bring your yarn back and give it a little tug on the tension mast. It's ready to go. And make sure, most important, the stitches or the needles you've taken the stitches off are moved back out of work. Just don't rush it, make sure everything's set up ready to go. I like to rack the front bed back one slot to the right so that the needles match up. That way when it comes to decreasing or doing the heel, I know that which stitches I've decreased, because it evens out with both beds. And then on both the beds we set the main tension, which is going to be 6, and because we're knitting circular now, select the circular key on both beds. The very, very last thing we're going to do, and I'm going to use an extra tool to do this. use a single prong tool or whatever you've got, and we're going to cross stitch one right and one left. So take one right off, pop one left onto one right, and pop one right onto one left. That just stops a little hole from possibly forming where the rib is joined together. Set your row counter back to 0, and then we're going to knit the bottom part of the leg down to where the heel is. So I'm going to knit a total of probably 40 rows for this in circular, so again circular both beds, tension 6. Take your time with the first couple of rows and move your weights up as you go. You'll see if the stitches start to bunch up that you need to add some weight or move the weights up, so just take your time with the first few rows. I'll come back to you in a moment.